My beloved child, be still for a moment. There is a whisper moving through your future that you were never meant to ignore. You did not arrive here by accident. There is a reason your eyes stopped on these words today. Somewhere, in a quiet place where no crowd could interrupt the moment, someone has been speaking about you with a sincerity that cannot be measured by ordinary language. It was not a conversation filled with demands. It was not driven by fear. It came from a heart carrying a promise that could reshape everything ahead. Stay a little longer, because the beginning of this story is not where most people expect it to be. Imagine this for a second. While your days have been filled with routines, unanswered questions, and moments when it seemed as though nothing remarkable was happening, another story has been unfolding beyond your sight. Someone has been reflecting on your name with unusual care. Not because of what you own. Not because of what others think about you. But because they see something inside you that even you have overlooked. And during one quiet moment, they lifted their thoughts higher than themselves and made a promise they never expected anyone else to hear. Pause here. What if the greatest turning point in your life begins with words you never knew were spoken? Many people search for signs in dramatic places, believing destiny always arrives with noise. Yet the deepest transformations often begin in silence. They begin when one sincere heart decides that another person's future matters. That is why this message feels different. It is not asking you to chase anything. It is inviting you to become aware of something already moving toward you. Think carefully. Have you ever felt an unexpected sense of peace without understanding why? Have you ever experienced a strange confidence on a day that should have felt ordinary? Sometimes those moments are reminders that unseen encouragement is closer than you realize. Someone has been hoping for your strength when you felt weak. Someone has been believing in possibilities for you when your own vision became cloudy. But here is the part that changes everything. The promise they made was not about temporary success. It was not about impressing the world. It reached far beyond that. They quietly declared that if new opportunities entered their life, they would never forget the person who inspired them to keep believing. They promised they would stand beside you instead of walking ahead without you. They promised they would remain genuine, even if the future became brighter than they ever imagined. Does that sound ordinary? No. Because promises made in moments of complete honesty carry unusual weight. They shape choices. They influence tomorrow. They become invisible bridges connecting people long before the meeting ever happens. Wait until the final moment of this journey, because what comes next reveals why that promise is beginning to echo in unexpected ways. Perhaps you've been wondering why certain doors closed. Why some connections faded. Why your path seemed slower than everyone else's. But what if those delays were not punishments? What if they were preparing space for something more meaningful? Every chapter that felt empty may have been quietly making room for a promise that required the right timing before it could unfold. Notice how life often surprises us. A conversation appears exactly when hope starts fading. A new direction opens after every old road disappears. A person enters your story carrying peace instead of confusion. None of these moments announce themselves in advance. They simply arrive, and suddenly everything makes sense. This is why you should never underestimate the power of unseen beginnings. The person thinking about you has already started changing from within. Their perspective is shifting. Their priorities are becoming clearer. Every day they are becoming more aware that real connections are built through loyalty, patience, and courage, not through speed or appearances. And because of that inner transformation, the promise they made continues growing stronger instead of fading away. Take one more quiet breath and remember this. You are not defined by the chapters that made you question yourself. You are being prepared by them. Sometimes the greatest evidence that your future is changing is not visible in your surroundings, it is visible in the hearts quietly choosing you, believing in you, and speaking words of hope over your journey long before you ever hear them yourself. So don't rush away just yet. The next revelation uncovers what happened immediately after that remarkable promise was made, and why it may already be influencing events you have not yet recognized. A quiet thought before we continue: the story did not end with the promise. In many ways, that was only the first page. What happened next is the reason you were guided to stay until this moment. Sometimes the most meaningful changes begin immediately after a heartfelt decision is made, even when no one else can see them. Stay a little longer, because this next chapter reveals why everything has started moving beneath the surface. The moment that promise was spoken, something shifted inside that person's heart. They could have returned to their ordinary routine and forgotten those words. Most people would have. But they didn't. Instead, they carried that promise with them into each new day. It quietly influenced the choices they made, the conversations they had, and even the direction they decided to take. Have you ever noticed how one sincere decision can change an entire future? It doesn't happen with loud announcements. It happens in small moments. Choosing patience instead of giving up. Choosing kindness instead of resentment. Choosing hope instead of fear. That is exactly what began taking place. Little by little, the promise became more than words, it became part of who they were becoming. And here is the surprising part. Without realizing it, you also began changing. Perhaps you started letting go of habits that no longer served you. Perhaps you became stronger after disappointments you never expected. Perhaps you learned lessons that once felt impossible to understand. At the time, none of it seemed connected. But what if those changes were preparing both of you for the same destination? Think about that for a moment. Two journeys, moving independently, yet slowly aligning. You might miss the turning point if you only focus on what you can already see. Some of life's greatest moments spend a long time growing beneath the surface before they finally appear. Like seeds beneath the soil, they are invisible at first, yet every passing day brings them closer to the light. There were moments when that person almost questioned their own promise. The waiting felt longer than expected. The answers did not arrive immediately. Yet every time uncertainty appeared, they remembered why they made that commitment in the first place. They remembered the value they saw in you. They remembered the future they quietly hoped would one day become reality. That quiet determination became their strength. And somewhere along your own journey, you were learning a similar lesson. Not through dramatic signs, but through ordinary days that slowly built extraordinary character. Every challenge was shaping wisdom. Every delay was strengthening patience. Every unexpected turn was teaching you to recognize what truly matters. What if none of those experiences were random? What if every step was preparing two stories to meet at exactly the right moment? Before we continue, if this message has brought peace or encouragement into your heart, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your words might become the encouragement someone else needs today. And if these messages continue to inspire you, subscribing simply helps you stay connected for the next chapter of this journey. Now listen carefully. The promise has not been forgotten. In fact, it has become even stronger because of everything that has happened since it was made. Every passing day has refined it instead of weakening it. Every challenge has given it deeper meaning. And the closer the future moves, the more clearly that person understands why they could never let those words fade away. But the next revelation changes the story completely. Because very soon, something unexpected begins to happen. Small, almost invisible signs start appearing in both of your lives at the same time. At first, they seem like ordinary coincidences. Yet when they are finally connected together, they reveal a pattern that neither of you could have predicted. Wait for the next chapter, because that pattern is where the real mystery begins. Another quiet moment. Look closely, because what seemed like coincidence is beginning to reveal a pattern. The promise did not remain hidden inside one heart forever. Its influence began reaching farther than anyone expected. Not with noise. Not with dramatic signs. But through small moments that, when placed together, started telling a remarkable story. Stay until the end of this chapter, because one final piece is about to fall into place. There are seasons when life feels ordinary on the surface while extraordinary things are unfolding underneath. This is one of those seasons. The person who made that heartfelt promise has started noticing unexpected reminders of you. A familiar word appears at the perfect moment. A memory returns without warning. A conversation suddenly leads them to think about everything they hoped for. Each moment seems small by itself, yet together they form a path that is impossible to ignore. Now ask yourself this. Have you also experienced moments that felt strangely meaningful? A feeling that today was somehow different. An unexpected sense of peace. A quiet confidence that arrived without explanation. Sometimes the greatest changes announce themselves through gentle whispers rather than loud celebrations. Those whispers invite you to pay attention instead of rushing ahead. This is where the story becomes even more fascinating. The promise that was once spoken in complete silence has become a guide. Every important decision that person faces is now measured against those words. Whenever they wonder which direction to take, they remember the commitment they made. Whenever uncertainty appears, they return to that promise and discover fresh courage waiting there. That is the remarkable power of sincere intentions. They continue shaping tomorrow long after the moment they are spoken. But there is something else you have not yet realized. While that person has been growing through commitment, you have been growing through preparation. Every lesson you've learned, every challenge you've overcome, every unexpected delay has quietly strengthened qualities that cannot be rushed. Patience. Wisdom. Compassion. Resilience. These are not ordinary gifts. They are the foundation of a future that lasts. What if every chapter that once confused you was actually preparing you for a meeting with greater purpose? Think about how often life only makes sense when you look backward. The disappointment that redirected you. The closed door that protected you. The delay that gave you time to become someone stronger. None of those moments seemed meaningful at first. Yet together they formed a journey that could not have happened any other way. Before you move on, hold this thought close. The future rarely arrives all at once. It reveals itself one faithful step at a time. That is why you are being invited to remain hopeful, even when every answer has not yet appeared. The story is still unfolding. The promise is still alive. And every new day brings another opportunity for unseen pieces to come together. So don't lose heart if everything is not clear today. Some of the most beautiful chapters begin long before anyone recognizes them. What matters is not how quickly the path unfolds, but how faithfully each step prepares you for what is ahead. And the next chapter reveals the most astonishing discovery of all. Because the promise was never only about one person speaking with hope. It also set in motion a chain of events that would eventually bring hidden truths into the light, truths that neither of you could have imagined when those first quiet words were spoken. What happens next changes the meaning of the promise forever. A new horizon is opening. Don't look for the answer in the loudest places, because the greatest revelation is arriving through quiet certainty. Everything that has happened until now has been leading to this moment. The promise, the waiting, the unexpected changes, the invisible preparation, they were never separate stories. They have always been chapters of the same journey. Wait for the final moments of this chapter, because the meaning behind everything is about to become clearer. There comes a time when hope stops feeling like a distant dream and begins to feel like a familiar presence. Not because everything changes overnight, but because your heart starts recognizing that you are no longer the same person who once questioned every delay. You have grown. You have become wiser. You have learned to value peace over pressure and purpose over appearances. At that very same time, the one who made that promise has also reached a turning point. They have discovered that some promises become stronger with time instead of weaker. Every challenge they faced tested their commitment, yet each test only reminded them why those words mattered in the first place. They no longer wonder whether the promise was worth making. They now understand that it shaped them into someone capable of protecting what truly matters. And that realization changes everything. Imagine two rivers flowing separately through mountains and valleys. They never compete with one another. They never rush to arrive first. Yet one day, without forcing anything, they naturally meet. Their journeys were always different, but their destination had quietly been the same. Life often works that way. What feels like distance today may simply be preparation for a stronger connection tomorrow. Before this message continues, if these words have encouraged your heart or given you hope, consider sharing this video with someone who may need the same reminder. If these stories continue to inspire your journey, subscribing is simply a way to stay connected for the chapters that are still ahead. Your thoughtful comment may also become the message someone else was waiting to read today. Now listen closely. The promise was never meant to stay hidden forever. Its true purpose was not only to encourage one person, it was also preparing you to recognize genuine intentions when they finally appeared. After all, the greatest gift is not simply hearing beautiful words. It is meeting people whose actions quietly prove those words every single day. That is why this season feels different. Small opportunities begin appearing where there were once only obstacles. Conversations carry unexpected meaning. New ideas arrive with unusual clarity. Even your confidence begins growing in ways that surprise you. These are not random moments to rush past. They are invitations to notice that your future is gradually unfolding exactly as it should. Remember this whenever doubt tries to return. The value of a promise is not measured by how quickly it is fulfilled. It is measured by how faithfully it survives every season of waiting. Real commitment continues when excitement becomes quiet. Real hope remains when certainty has not fully arrived. And real purpose keeps moving forward even when the next step cannot yet be seen. So lift your eyes a little higher. There is still another chapter waiting beyond this one. Because soon, an unexpected conversation will begin, one that reveals why the promise was spoken at exactly the right moment, and why the timing that once seemed confusing will suddenly make perfect sense. The story is far from over. In fact, the most unforgettable revelation has been waiting until the very end.